1 and the Conservation Commission meeting will come to order. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the August meeting.
They look good to me. The only thing, and I think you might actually have it right,
Kevin,
Jeremy.
is your mic on?
It is.
Okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
Number 4, so it's page 2, number 4, build a meat processing facility. I think we kind of went back and forth on that, and it was a packaging, but they may be calling it a
Yeah, they were
processing.
calling it a meat processing
Okay.
facility. I think I had a note in there that there was no intent for a slaughterhouse or livestock storage on site.
Okay.
I think I did.
You did have that later. I just wasn't sure if it mattered up front, so that's it.
I had one, under number 3, on the second page, about halfway down. Let's see. D. Smith Kenyon notes that our environmental scientist does not believe that shrub plantings would interfere with tracker function. It was his wetland scientist. And then the other question I had is on page 3, the second to the last paragraph before B, the first sentence. The surrounding area of this lot is heavily developed industrial uses, comma. And I didn't know if there should be a with in there and a singular on the use.
Would make sense, yeah.
Pardon?
Would make sense for that, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
I have under new business, item B, after the first paragraph, just an addition that I'd stated that the easement was not under Conservation Commission jurisdiction, and that placement / existence / success of bridges there is questionable. Any other comments? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as amended and corrected.
All right, there's a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll
as
second.
Amended. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Next order of business is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? The next order of business is conditional use permit requests. Item A, I'm sorry. We were going to vote on whether we could move the applications around so that Mr. Stoll could present both of his in sequence. Is there any objection to that?
No.
No? Okay. Well then, item A, Packy's Investment LLC is seeking a conditional use permit for a 100 square foot impact for proposed storage building, 2,860 square foot impact for site grading, stormwater management, and 21,490 square feet of impact for tree clearing and solar array construction within the riparian and wetland buffer as part of a commercial development on property located at 363 Route 108 in the Commercial Industrial District, Assessors Map 48, Lot 22B, CUP 14, 2022, and Mr. Stoll is here to represent. Is that correct?
Scott, did you want to have Mr. Davis go first?
You're switching.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Sorry.
Scratch that. So item A, as it will be, is Michael Davis is seeking a conditional use permit for after-the-fact excavation alterations within the riparian and wetland buffer on a property located at 25 Otis Road, residential single-family district, Assessors Map 31, Lot 49, CUP 3, 2023. Who's speaking tonight? Yeah, please come up. Please state your name and. Okay. Well, my understanding is that you're here to present a conditional use permit application plan.
Can you press a little gray button on the microphone there?
There you are now.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes.
If you could just restate your name and address.
Michael Davis, 25 Otis Road, Somersworth, New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you. So you've got a conditional use permit application in for after the fact, it's an after the fact application. And apparently there are court orders in effect. My understanding is it's for restoration of work that's been done.
Yes.
I've got plans here showing the current state, but I don't see any plans for restoration. Am I missing something?
I gave you everything that I was required, I guess, I believe. Kind of sits in your hands of what you want me to do to complete this.
Are there
Or
plans?
is it completed now, or is it, what do we need to go forward, or,
Well, this is a snapshot of how it looks now, correct?
I don't know about the picture. Oh, as far as, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So what work is planned for restoration of the wetland and buffers?
I don't know. That's, what are you gonna require me to do, is what I thought I was here to. You're either gonna say, yeah, okay, it's fine the way it is, let's end this, or I'm supposed to do, put some blueberry bushes in, or some, I don't know. That's kinda why we're here, I think, at least to my knowledge.
Have you engaged a civil engineer or a wetlands engineer
Yes, you have the paperwork.
as far as
Mark
how
Jacobs.
to restore, as far as coming up with a plan for restoration?
He says you don't need one. It says on the bottom of that, the 2 pages, that it's not required for restoration. I'm as lost as the next guy, so I just want to get this over with. So I just want to come to an agreement on what I got to do for this to all end, and move forward. I'm possibly going to go for a subdivision to put a house lot back there. Now that it's all, I've gone this far and dealt with all this, that's another day to talk about. But
This is coming in fresh to the commission, so we're unaware of the initial state of the property.
it's grass. It's flattened grass. I'd like to do a walk through if some day to get, at least a couple of you to get an idea how nice it looks and what I did. It's not a project to make it look bad. It's a project to make it look better. Okay, it's much better. But I did it.
So-
I guess I did it backwards. I didn't realize what I needed to do
So
first.
to restate, we've got a snapshot of what it looks like now, but the commission doesn't know what it looked like before the work was done.
A big mountain of dirt and rocks.
Okay, it looks like there's more to it than that. There was a retaining wall put in on the pond,
It just,
grading.
it was just not a retaining wall, but aesthetics. I kind of shaped the pond with the rocks a little bit because it was kind of jagged and stuff. It looked awful. So I just laid all the rocks in that I took out. That pile that was there was where the guy took all the material out to make, when he dug the pond back in 1958. So he dug the pond and then dumped it all on the other side of the pond and just left it as a big pile. And it wound up with, just weeds and stuff growing up out of it, and it just looked awful. And I'm paying taxes on it, I figured I'd level it out and make it, I mow it all the time. What I've done so far looks gorgeous, looks great. It does, compared to what it looked like before. I'm sure you could go back on some aerial stuff before. The difference is not even questionable, what it looks like.
Okay.
I may be able to dig up some pictures, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you could go online and see some pictures of way back. It looked awful, so.
Okay. What we need is someone to help you establish what the initial state was, help you reconstruct that visually, and then
The
come up
original
with
before I touched it,
right, right.
so dig up some pictures, or show,
It's gonna have to be more than that. You'll need a plan showing that
you know, I mean,
that state.
I have no idea.
Roughly, I know it can't be perfect,
I'm not sure how to even do that, but
but
there's a big mountain of dirt and some rocks about 40 feet high. It's everything that came out of that pond was just dumped there.
okay, so we need
Thank
need
you.
that as a reference point so that we can understand how far back from the buffers the work was done, or how far within the buffers, how close to the pond itself.
75% of it was outside of the buffer.
Okay, we need to see exactly what changed
Okay,
before we can
so
make any,
that's just my surveyor, Adam Fogg. Are you catching on to that? That
Yeah,
we're gonna have
there's
to.
not much I can do to help you with what the state was before you
I'm not
moved
su-
everything.
I'm not sure how to go, how to give you that information on it. That's some. I'll see what I can do. I'm not. It was a 40-foot mountain of dirt and rocks with stuff growing over it since 1958.
can you walk through, excuse me, with a surveyor or an engineer to at least verbally point out?
I can show
areas
you
that
exactly if you guys go out there. I can tell you exactly all those rocks that I put out there. That's all that was in the pile. It was just a pile of dirt and rocks, big rocks, some of them the size of your car, that I rolled around the yard and used as just ornaments and stuff. I can tell you exactly if we walked it. I mean, I did it, so I
Okay.
know.
That's helpful. We may take you up on a
Yeah,
site
'cause
visit.
I think that visual is going to do a lot more than anything else I can give you. I mean,
So one thing you could do too is, you have these maps that somebody made for you that we have in front of us.
yeah,
And so, I mean, even if you annotated that and put notes around where you created
yeah.
disturbances, just so we see the whole picture.
Okay.
I don't think we're expecting you to be able to, provide pictures and things like that, but like, we need the story as it was before and as it is now.
I'll take a copy and I'll draw but then we can walk it and
Yep.
look at the map at the same time and say, because visuals is everything on this. It's going to answer 80% of the questions, and maybe the other 20% will be what I can draw on this.
Mr. Davis, the work that you did, when did you do that in terms of year, that sort of?
22 and 3.
Okay. I'm wondering if there's overhead photography, like what gets used for grant
That's-
and things like that.
I
would show the
believe my
prior state.
wife goes on that and shows, and I got some pictures from when I bought the place. I'm not sure. I'll look through some paperwork, but definitely the walk through is gonna be is gonna answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm
Because
thinking
you're actually gonna be standing there, and I can say this is this and this is that, and then I could also do some
Yeah, I'm thinking if we can,
fancy drawings on here.
if we can spread out your map and then your annotations and overhead photography view, a granite
Yeah.
view, we can get a much better picture of
Okay.
what's going on.
I'm all right with that.
And I'm just trying to make sure I've got the timeline straight in my head for this. You said that somebody in the late 50s dug the pond out?
The original owner is 1958.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then nothing changed with it until you started working on it?
Yeah, I moved in 2006,
Okay.
and we did a bunch of tree work. That's not a question. That was like when I first moved in. And then, I might have done a couple things here and there, like small things, but you know, the bulk of all the work was done in these last 2
What we're
years.
talking about here was like
Yes,
last 18
exactly.
months. Okay.
Well, that's different from what I'm seeing on the timeline here. And Ms. Crossley, maybe you can help me out with that, but it looks like there's history that goes back to 2008.
Yeah, I did, well, there was a bunch of tree work done, that's not even in question. Was never even brought up, period. That was all legal. But I did some work, and they gave me a cease and desist. I started playing around out there, and somebody saw me playing around out there, so they gave me a cease and desist way back then. And it sat for 10 years. I didn't do nothing about it, and nobody else did nothing about it, so never got no letters or nothing, so it just sat. So I figured after 10 years, and everybody drove by and saw this. All the code enforcement saw me do work on this for a year and a half and never said a word. Never came in and did anything until the last I've got 2 more days there to finish what I want to do. And they came in and gave me a cease and desist. After they watched me for a year and a half do all my work, take the whole mountain down, all till I got down to, I got a little spot of rocky ledge and a day to put some more loam on top of it with a dozer, and it would all be a beautiful field. Half of it is, half of it's very close. But they watched me for a year and a half, never said a word, and then 2 days before my completion, they came in and slapped me with another cease and desist and a court date. So that's basically the story. As far as putting vegetation and everything back, I have no problem doing. I want to do a bunch of fruit trees, have gardens out there, things like that. So I have no problem doing that type of stuff. What I don't want to have to do is dig the yard back up.
What I'm seeing here is that there was no conditional use permit application or work done in 2011.
No,
Is that involved in the current court order?
it's all one. It's all one. I'm gonna. There was 2 parts. You made me take my berms down. I spent thousands of dollars to install and bark mulch and make it look beautiful. Now it looks awful, which you'll see when you get out there. That was one half of it, and I finally agreed to it and took them all out. And the other half is the after the fact permit. So I have to go back to court tomorrow morning to tell the judge we did meet the requirements and showed up and had you what you needed or what I thought you needed.
So I understand that there was a hill. I'm not sure how big the hill was that was moved with boulders in it, you said.
On the road's edge, or you're talking?
Fill me in, I don't know.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
But when you started describing the work that was done, you were talking about a hill that you had moved, that you took boulders out of it. And
That's just a pile of dirt out back. Yeah, that from the pond. That
how
pond's
big was that?
14 feet on one end and 9 feet on the other. So it's like an acre of water. So you can imagine how much material came out of there. And they just dumped it in a big pile of back. That's just what this is all about. The berms out front are nothing to do with this. I already took care of that.
The material came out of the pond?
Yeah.
In 1958, or?
Yes, in 1958. Yeah.
Okay.
The story was from an old gentleman that works or used to work for you guys. I saw him here, and he knew exactly who the guy was. He said he'd go to work all night, he'd come home, and while his wife was cooking him dinner, he'd go out there, and he would dig out that pond every night after work.
Understood.
And just, I don't know why, but he did. I
Is
just
there also a
wish
stream?
it
Looks like
wasn't
there's
there.
a stream going into the pond.
What's that?
Looks like there's also a stream going into the pond.
There's nothing, that's spring fed.
Stream.
I own that. Nothing goes in it.
It looks like that was filled. You can see in the test pits 2 through 4, that line looks to be where that stream was.
Oh, that's the outlet, yeah. Yeah, what I did, there used to be a ravine. I put a 12-inch culvert pipe in it and covered it up. And that was another thing that was, I guess I wasn't supposed to do. But I can't get to my other side of my property without doing something like that. And all it did was make the place look better. I didn't realize it was that crucial.
Okay, so I guess tonight what we could do is characterize the type of work that was done. And then I think we'll have to continue to, at least to the next month's meeting, to get more specifics.
Can we throw a walkthrough prior so that, I mean, that's gonna answer a lot, and you'll be, that way I know, like, yeah, we wanna see some shrubs here, we wanna see something over here, we
Yeah.
want this done, it's gonna be so much easier if we just go out on site and look at this. Honestly. It's gonna give me a better idea of what I gotta do, rather than just say, we want this on paper, I'd like to, and you can see what I did and why I did it. And I'll see if I can't drum up some pitches. I'll do some adjustments on this, and I could maybe have the surveyor look at and add it in, so that it's an actual print, if we need to go that far. But
That's where they did all the test pits.
that's my suggestion. I think the walkthrough is gonna be like very, very helpful for this.
For tonight, though, so we've established that there was some work done on the outlet. There were rocks, call it riprap or whatever, installed on the pond edge, at least one edge, right?
Yeah, those are the two reasons we have.
Was there any regrading done?
Well, the mountain was there, and then I took it out, so I just graded it flat. Half of it was already saying from the pond to the mountain where it started is the same grade as it always has been, and I matched that grade. So, no, really.
Okay.
There was grading, but there was no, I didn't bring it up or down. I left it the same way it was.
Understood. Okay, and what about removal of vegetation?
It was just a couple raspberry bushes and just crap. I mean, just weeds. It wasn't nothing that was, it was nothing that was planted there or anything. It just was naturally growing, I don't know what you would want to call it.
That's actually what's most important for the wetland buffer and for the riparian buffer is the naturally growing vegetation. So
I figured the grass was kind of like taking its place and maintain it and mow it. That's what was there. It was just unmaintained grass and
there was grass originally?
Looks like it was forested between 2010 and then cut sometime between 2010 and 2015. That whole area to the north.
One of these guys come in that do it for free deals, and I went to work and I came home and that place was stripped bare in one day, like the whole place. I was like, wow. And then I went in and I de-stumped it all. And that's, I think, probably around that time, I must have got a cease, I can't remember that far back. I might get the cease and desist around that time. The first one. Like I said, nobody ever said a word until, the end of, I'm not even sure when the first one actually came into play. It's been so long back. But this last one, like I said, they watched me take that whole mountain down for a year and a half. Nobody ever said a word. And if you look at it, you're like, you're almost done. I'm like, yeah, I know, 2 days away. And then all of a sudden they come in and stop me after watching me for a year and a half and not saying a word about it. About nothing, no letters, nobody stopping by, no nothing. And all of a sudden they just slapped this on me. So it's like, you know, it's kind of not right. They should have, the first day they saw me, they should have stopped me then, not waited all this time, but.
I'd like to say something here. According to the timeline that we were provided,
Yep.
you had multiple visits by the city to your land telling you what you needed to do and not do. Also, you had multiple cease and desist orders. So it wasn't just this last year and a half. It was a long time ago. This was in 2011, 2010. I mean, we have a long history with this property.
Then it just sat for
And
years,
I
yes.
think one of the things that may be helpful for you is when we talk about restoration, is look it up online on what some of the things are that we would be looking for. As
Look,
far as the vegetation that,
look on Mark's thing, it shows all the plants.
say what?
On the Mark Jacobs, you got 2 pages. Did you, I know you got those, right? Those are the ones I gave you?
Those the test pits that we got in an email.
test-
And look on
test
the
pits,
other page,
yes.
it shows all the vegetation that he listed.
No, we didn't get that.
Yeah,
It's this.
Hey.
Dale wants it.
that's what was noted.
There's an email attached to the test pit soils. If you want it, Dale, I have a printed copy right here for you.
That would be good,
Pass it along to her if she'd like.
because I looked at all
So,
that stuff. And I
That
didn't
one
see
on
it.
top,
Does that
Scott.
include an image or?
No.
No, he indicates what commonly would see in wetlands.
Yes, just a list of plants that he saw while he was out there. Dogwood, speckled alder, high bush blueberry, mailberry, winterberry, and red maple.
Yeah.
There. Oh, right there. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I've got a copy of that here if anyone else wants to see it.
So, it is difficult to follow the story of the property. And I'm looking at notes, I'm looking at maps, and again, I'm gonna go back to, your maps that you've provided, and maybe adding the timeline of disturbance on there too, there's a mention here about tree removal, from the property, and that's part of that cease and desist, but we don't know where that tree removal was from, or at least I can't see that anyways right now. And this kind of gets to, I think what Dale is suggesting too is, we need a real story of the property, okay, that we can look at and figure out, what has happened where on the property and what that means. And it's really hard with you, you're trying to tell the story and the property, so it makes a lot of sense, but it's very hard to follow it for me anyways. So when you leave here and you start to address some of this stuff, I mean, just think about when you did what too.
I'll try.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be, I don't think we care about specific dates, but,
Right.
year, like, where were these trees cleared? When was this ditch filled? When was part of the pond drained? Those types of things, because those are significant factors.
Pond was never drained, but.
Well, there's a comment
Yeah, that's
somewhere in here about.
That's my angry neighbor, the old lady that sits in the window and calls every 14 minutes on me. Yeah, that's her. So that's really irrelevant.
Well, was it just the neighbor, or was that called out by an official?
No, that was a neighbor. I know all about it. The walkthrough is I'll walk the whole. I'll give you a whole story then, because it's gonna be like this is when I did this. This is when I did this. This is how I did this. This is when I did this. But the walkthrough, you're gonna have to go walk it with me. I'm seriously. It needs. That way I can address the whole property with you.
In order for us to have a productive and thorough walkthrough, we'll need a timeline and itemization of what's been changed, so that when we get there,
I'll try. I'm not gonna
so
say
that
it's
when
gonna
we
be
get
correct.
there,
I'll try my. I don't.
so that
I
when we
don't
get there,
remember how
we don't miss anything.
Okay.
So that we can make, we can come back at the next meeting and make an informed decision.
Okay. I'm not quite sure what the timeline's got to do with it. We're moving forward. I just want to know what I need to do to finish this, to put it to bed, so that you guys could say, you do this, it's done. Said and done. This is all taken care of since I moved in there. Done.
I think we'd all like to help you do that.
That's what I'm trying to look for, so that, I mean, everything in the past and the time, I'm not sure, I guess it's important for you guys, I don't know how that's helping me move forward to finish this off.
If we can't assemble a good timeline of what happened and when in the past, it kind of prevents us from helping you come to a restoration plan. We can't know what we're trying to restore to if we don't know what was there originally. So having an understanding of what happened and when, and if we can tie that up with the timelines that we received from the city, it helps us construct where we came from.
And the walkthrough also, because half the pond, half my property's never been touched since the day I bought it. So what I do is I walk over and go, see, I screwed with all of this, but see all of this? I never touched it, and that's exactly the way this looked. You can look at all of that, all the way around, 3/4 of the pond has never been touched since the day I was there. So I can say, this is what it looked like before I did this.
A timeline,
So
may,
it's, you know,
timeline may also help you because ordinances have changed over time. So there may be something that's in effect now that wasn't in effect when you
Okay.
did the work. So
I'll walk my
that's
property.
also in your, in your best interest.
Okay, I'll walk my property with this and put all my little comments on it, and try and get some dates together. Like I said, I'll get somewhat accurate. I'll try and get as accurate as what my mind brings back. And then the rest of it, like, really hoping about this walkthrough, because I'll give you
Yeah.
the whole story.
Like, once we have that in hand, we can do a walkthrough. It's up to the commission whether they like to do a walkthrough without it.
Okay,
We'll put that to a vote, but that would be my recommendation. Is anyone interested in floating a motion, or is there further comment on it?
This is a comment. I think we'd be far better off having the timeline in place before we got to the site. Otherwise, we're trying to go on site, construct where we are and where we've been, get the timeline and true that up. I'd rather have the timeline in place, get out there on the site.
I'll have it on here for you. You want me to submit this into you and just say that you can look it over? I'll have this with all my fancy drawings on it, and I can't draw, so I gotta work out, but, and I'll have a page, timeline page attached to it. And then you can tell me when you want,
Before we went out.
and then you can tell me when you wanna come out, if you wanna come out, or you just wanna make a decision on where we go from. I'm just gonna object to too much of anything at this point. I just wanna get this done. I just wanna move on.
Yeah,
So-
I'd like to come out, but I need to know what I'm looking for first.
Yep, I'll set that up on this, and I can show you the shrubbery out there that's there that's never been touched, and then obviously you got the list of what he was, I guess, proposing probably. I think that would hopefully take care of it, or move us forward anyway.
Okay.
Because I can't plant too much longer. So if I don't get something planted here real soon, or don't get any of the vegetation done, then we have to let this slide till around April of next year. So I'd like to hopefully get this down and call up Salmon Falls Nursery. And at least everything they can do. If it's seeds, that I can just put in as seeds, but if it's plants, I'm just gonna have them do the whole thing. And then we can show on a after it's all installed, Mr. Fogg can redo one
I
showing.
would recommend not doing anything until we've made a decision here.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
But this is my plan, like, I'm not gonna do any of the planting, unless it's seeds.
Right.
I'm gonna have Salmon Falls. I'm gonna bring them over, I'm gonna show them what you told me to do, and they're gonna do it.
Okay.
So, whether it's fruit trees or blueberries, or, I don't even know what a couple of those other things are. So, I'm just gonna say, this is what I want, and this is what's required, and do it.
Okay.
So,
I think too, just to limit your expectations a little bit, I think it would be hard to get everything through a landscape plan and to have plants in the ground or seeds in the ground this fall.
that's what I'm saying. If we can't come to an agreement real soon, and this has to sit till April, May of next year. So I really don't want that. I'm hoping that it's,
Well, I understand that's not what you want.
Yeah,
I
but if it
just,
happens-
the timeline, I mean, we don't, who knows what our fall will be like, but,
Yeah. This
I
is
mean,
my
we're a
estimate.
month out from even visiting and, and you having an annotated map to us and all probably, so.
Okay. Because now it won't be till what, October?
I mean,
Okay.
it's, you have to get us a map.
Yeah, I can do that tomorrow. I can
We
do
would
that in
either
a
do the,
few hours.
we would either meet, and I don't know how, we've never done something like, or I've never done something like this here, but, we'd probably meet and then schedule the tour. So,
Okay.
it's not gonna be, instant.
If it's not, as long as I can lie from the time we agree till the time that I can plant next year.
I mean, I think
You know.
sorry, I think the important thing, right, for you as the landowner is to have a really solid plan in place, and we can help with that. And so, we're gonna take these steps with you.
Yeah, that's
There's
fine.
no reason for you to rush. Like, we would rather see the proper vegetation go into rehabbing a site than you throwing something out there to get,
Oh, no, I want to do it right, that's for
So,
sure.
yeah, and so let's just keep that in mind as we
Yeah.
go forward, right? That this isn't gonna be
Okay.
fixed in 2 weeks or 3 weeks for you.
I just don't have to keep going back to that court and that judge and,
Yeah, so that's a whole other thing
No, that's for this.
outside of, no, but I know, but like, we can't influence that
No,
timeline
yeah,
or take that timeline into account either. But I think we can work together to, to get somewhere that's helpful for you.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to give us some time on that too.
that's fine, that's fine. So are we in agreement that right now I just want to get you back a timeline with as much information of what it looked like before and what it looks like now?
Yeah, if you can correspond with the planning office with that, then they'll let us know and we'll
Okay.
come up with the next steps.
Well, I'll bring, as soon as I get it all together, I'll drop it off with Anna and Dana. You're Anna, right?
I'm Dana. Anna's the
Dana.
planning secretary.
You guys look alike. Sorry. So if that's it, I got some directions.
Did we get this all? Were we accurate in discussing this? Did we miss anything, to your knowledge?
I don't think you missed anything. I think that's the wish of the board.
All right, is there a motion then?
I'd like to start with this. So I'll make a motion that we table the request for a conditional use permit after the fact by Michael Davis for excavations and alterations at the 25 Otis Road site until the next meeting of the Somersworth Conservation Commission in October of 2023, providing the applicant time to assemble a timeline and annotated map for previous works, intent to set a site walk at the following meeting.
Good to me.
I'll second that motion.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Breyer? Yes. Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Ms. Smith Kenyon?
Yes.
Mr. Degler?
Yes.
Mr. Dodds?
Yes.
Yes. So the motion carries. Thank you, and
Thank you.
that's what we'll do.
Am I automatically going to be on October's? Yes?
Provided that we have,
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be scheduled on the agenda. We will anticipate receiving those that timeline and annotated map from you for additional information for the board. So,
Okay,
yes.
excellent. Thank you.
thank
Have a
you.
good night.
You too.
And quick note, Jeremy, were you the second on that? I was looking down.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Not that, but quite what I was thinking. Pardon?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not speaking much. You're all caught up? Okay, now, Item B, we'll call it Packy's Investment LLC is seeking a conditional use permit for 100 square feet of impact for proposed storage building, 2,860 square feet of impact for site grading / stormwater management, and 21,490 square feet of impact for tree clearing and solar array construction within the riparian and wetland buffer as part of a commercial development for property located at 363 Route 108 in the Commercial Industrial District, Assessors Map 48, Lot 22B, CUP 14, 2022. Welcome.
Thank you. Bob Stoll at Tritech Engineering, representing Packy's Investment Properties. Mr. Campbell won't be with us this evening. Since our last meeting, you do have a new plan, and we worked with our landscape architect and our soil scientist and our client to try and develop a plan that would take care of the issues that were raised last month at the meeting. We did provide, I think it's 24 of the high bush blueberries that were basically laid out to act as a visual buffer as well as meeting the habitat and food for the wildlife criteria that we talked about at the last meeting. But really the meat of what we did was worked with this New England wetland plant company. Those are the people that supply the seed mixes that we do in our bioretention areas, and rather than just going with the meadow conservation standard mix that we've had specified last month, they provided us with the spec for a wildlife mix, and I provided that in your packages, and we've got a number of different types of plants that are included in that mix. And again, not being familiar with all of them myself, I went to the USDA and looked up a little information for them, so I provided that for you as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So that's really, again, provided, and again, particularly if we tried to highlight, you know, they defined what the best use of this plant is for, and specifically most of them outlined a wildlife and conservation purpose, and we tried to highlight those for each one of those. And then at the end of the day, that this is an improvement for drainage characteristics out there over what was there as a mature forest. It provides a more diverse wildlife habitat than was out there. It does not replace the tree canopy that we lost. So that's what we've come up with. We're hopeful that achieves the main goals that the board had, and we are scheduled to go to the planning board this month, and be nice if we could take a positive recommendation or at least additional comments with us. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the commission, I noticed the placement of the blueberries along the edge of the cutting, and I was going to pose to Mr. Degler and anyone else what they think of the success expectations of that in that area, if it's too wet, or regarding pH.
Yeah, I won't be able to speak on the pH, but I think as far as the wetness, I don't see any issues for survivability necessarily. You know, some of these areas, especially as it goes further upslope, you know, they might dry out kind of closer to the south and the north. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to speak to the pH of that area.
That was something that we did get into with the consultants that we worked with, as you do go upslope, you get into the excessively well drained soil. that we had a difficult time figuring what would fit there. So some of these plants here will thrive in that, and some of them won't. So it's not, you're not going to see this whole palette everywhere on the site. It's got you'll find that some of them succeed where it's appropriate, and others will succeed in other areas.
Given that information, I guess we could expect probably some die-off in certain areas. Is it possible to replace the species in the areas where it's expected to be problematic?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, there are certain ones here that are suitable to the drier soils, so those are going to just dominate there. And then there's the ones that are definitely on the wetter side, and they're going to dominate down there. So you're just not going to have that whole palette uniform over the whole area.
I'd be happy with something like sweet fern that seems to me would be very low, zero maintenance, and would like sandy soil. Is that?
Yeah.
Just to clarify quickly, I'm wondering if we're thinking about two different things here. Scott, are you talking about the blueberry plantings
Yes.
that are upland? Okay.
Yeah.
I think, Bob, you were talking about the seed mix.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm talking, yes, we thought the blueberry was a good fit in that wetter soil down towards the wetland. I thought that was a perfect fit.
So the seed mix is put together so that, with the acknowledgement that some areas are going to be well drained, some are not. Some of the plants in that seed mix are going to thrive in the wetter areas. Some will thrive in the drier ones. Whatever comes up and makes it there, you'll have good coverage. I think, Scott, what you were thinking is that some of the blueberries in the upland area where it's going to be drier, replace those with something like sweet fern.
Right.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but right now we've just got them spec'd in the lower lying area, so they should, the blueberry should be okay.
Well, except for up, like at 208 feet.
Yep, you are correct. Where we approach behind the existing facility there, we do climb the slope there, and no, I understood. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
I
say
didn't-
maybe like the northern 2 or 3 blueberry plantings, and then the southern 5, replace that with sweet fern.
Okay.
I think that would survive better.
Is sweet fern readily available for planting, or?
And it'll do well in disturbed areas as well. And it
Yeah.
really thrives there.
I'm sorry, Jeremy, you said the 6 to 8 southernmost? 5 to 6 southernmost?
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
And you're seeding the whole area, right? I mean, that whole disturbed area.
We are, exactly.
Did you talk about any type of site prep or anything like that?
You know, at this point, we talked about it at the last meeting a little bit on the prep, and again, the advice that some of these will do fine with little prep. Some of them are going to need more. So the advice we got, rather than doing the grinding that we talked about last time, a true stumping, tilling, and raking and rolling is probably going to give the highest percentage of survival.
I'm sorry, you said raking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more what you'd see for lawn preparation as opposed to restoration. And I think just the stage that it's at now. Again, some of these reading the specs, some of them are fine that they would take off in the current conditions, but I think to make sure that we get the whole palette, I think the full prep is the way to go.
We're talking about like yard raking or like
No,
forestry raking?
no, landscape rake, power rake to go in and get the.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's still mowing called out. To what height? Because it says for, I forget how it's worded, but to not disturb the access, sunlight to the
Yeah.
arrays.
And again, that is something that the client's just scared to death of, that something grows up and blocks this investment that he's making. Reading these, I don't think it's going to take the maintenance that he thinks it does.
Yeah.
That I think that the idea of that we started off with, where we were going to let the natural stuff grow back. I think he was going to get into that scenario where he was out there brush hogging all the time. This doesn't. I don't think we're going to get into that situation where it needs nearly as much maintenance as he's anticipating.
Yeah, I think a lot of the value that comes from the mix that you selected here is that, you know, a lot of it grows up to 4 feet high, and there can be, you know, pithy stems that insects lay their eggs in, and, you know, for overwintering, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you cut that down every year, that really doesn't give us the same benefit of the habitat restoration as leaving it.
Understood.
If we could say 4 feet, you know, cut saplings or whatever you need to above that, going forward, that works for me. I don't know about,
Now, when you say when things get above 4 feet, so when things start to get above 4 feet, he's going to want to come in and brush hog those, so we start from ground zero again. We're not going to go in and just cut the things that are above 4
can you use a brontosaurus or something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think the brush hog is probably less invasive than the brontosaurus, but I think for the size that we're going to see out of these at 4 feet, I think the brush hog is probably going to be pretty tame out there.
Question I'd raise is, at what level of vegetation would it start interfering with the trackers?
Well, we know that the diagrams that we've provided to the planning board, we've got at their maximum tilt. I mean, you've got 7 feet to the bottom of them.
So even if we're well above 4 feet, we'd have to get something up taller than a grown person to be problematic here.
Yeah.
None of these things that you're proposing to plant on this site get above 4 to 5 feet, do they?
Exactly.
Yeah, Joe Pyewood, I think maybe 6 feet tops.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen anything on here that would interfere with the trackers at all.
So I don't think we're talking about anything on this site that would get to the height that would interfere with the trackers, unless we're dealing with a pioneer species like red maple that I think we'd all like gone.
Well, that's going to be inevitable.
Yeah, but I think that argues for, rather than chopping down the whole site, selectively cut pioneers that are going to be interfering.
Yeah, cutting saplings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather
So-
than mowing. I don't see any reason to mow, but
At all.
yeah, that sapling removal I could see a reason for.
And that'll, from the applicant's perspective, and to help talk to him about the value of going that route, that improves both the appearance of the site and his maintenance expenses. Rather than paying somebody to cut the whole thing, it's just to go in, cut down a few woody things as they crop up, and call it a day. So it'll likely be a cheaper and better looking path for him too.
Yeah, I mean, if we get to that point where you've got things up 7 feet that are interfering, you're 5 years out. I mean, is there any downside to giving it a fresh slate after 5 years and give it in a mowing, or?
Well, if the intent's to provide wildlife habitat, you've got established wildlife at that point, and going in and hacking down their entire habitat, I wouldn't want that
You could cut saplings.
sooner.
It's up, you know, it's not just up to me, but you could cut saplings when you see them growing.
Mhm.
If you know that they're not part of this mix, you know, if you know that you've got a maple growing there, I don't have a problem with cutting that before it's 7 feet or whatever. Having any thoughts on that?
So I'm really happy with what you came back with. I'll say that, or where we're heading, anyways. I do worry again still that it'll be hard to, you know, seed and establish this plant community in 1 year and walk away. I'm also maybe not as concerned about mowing, you know, properly timed mowing, you know, so later in the fall. But that first year, second year, seeing how things go. So I think a lot of it, Scott, to get to what you were asking, is kind of how dedicated the landowner is going to be, you know, in terms of establishing this type of habitat. And I do think this type of habitat benefits him. And Jeremy just pointed out, you know, one of the reasons, and that's he can go in with clippers, you know, or a saw and knock down some of the red maple and things that are popping up. So, I like the plan on paper, but again, it's not going to be super easy to get it established, like to seed and walk away. It may take another seeding and some monitoring. So hopefully there's the benefit that he sees in doing this for the property and for the maintenance and all of that it does end up getting vegetated like this and providing that habitat that we hope for.
Yeah, no, I do expect it to take more than a season to get this up and getting the stabilization that we'd expect there. So I don't know if we need to build in some type of monitoring or some sort of performance standard, but certainly it's not one of those where he's going to put the buildings up and go for a CO and this is going to be caught up with that. It's going to take more time to get this.
Could we say that it will be reseeded until it's fully established? I mean,
Yeah.
fully established is a relative term, I suppose, but any ideas on how to quantify that or qualify it?
Well, so you have a landscape ecologist, or you're working with a botanist of some sort, right? A community. So maybe that's it, Scott, that your expert that's helping you with this reassesses after 1 year and 2 years, and assesses the community that's developing there, and if it's in the right trajectory, then good. If it's not, then it's supplement it with seeding or whatever recommendation they would have on how to get the vegetation established throughout the area. I mean, my guess is you're going to have pockets of where it looks amazing and where it doesn't look so great, and that's okay early on too, and that's great if you can even just get those little satellite areas started. But that would be one way, having the botanist or whoever it is that you're working with reassess, look at survival of the blueberries, the plant community that's getting seeded in, and then adjust accordingly.
Sure. No, we have, again, we've worked with the landscape architect, the wetland scientist, and myself, and it doesn't seem to fit in any one of ours, so it's been more of a collaborative on how to best deal with this.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and just to echo something that Kevin mentioned, I'm really happy with what's gone on here. We've had a couple of, I think, relatively minor adjustments like the sweet fern swap out and things like that. But looking at the plant list that you're using for reseeding this site, we've got a mix of common plants for this area and then a few that aren't as common, but are really critical for species that we're trying to preserve. So clearly a good amount of thought went into this.
Great, thank you.
Further discussion?
I just have a question. The area that's going to be reseeded is where the trees had been cut previously.
Within the riparian buffer, basically the pink and the green here.
Right.
Yes.
Now, they haven't stumped.
They have not yet.
Yeah.
No, they were waiting to us to come to a resolution on what the best way to proceed forward with was, and based on how the approach we've got here, I think stumping is the way to go.
Okay.
Anyone other than Mr. Rhodes interested in floating a motion? I mean, it's fine if you do.
Shouldn't take all of them.
You word it so well.
Mr. Degler? No pressure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on this one. I mean, I we can make a motion to, yeah, I'm not sure how to word this.
I can take it if somebody else wants it. Okay,
Thanks, Jeremy.
no problem. So I'll make a motion that we forward the request of Packings Investment LLC for conditional use permit for the site at 363 Route 108 to the planning board with a recommendation to approve with the following conditions. That the landscape, as presented to us, be installed on site, that site prep be conducted in accordance with expert recommendation, that expert revisit the site yearly until it is confirmed established, and that no mowing on site take place except for removal of pioneer species.
And the replacement of the blueberries?
Yes, thank you. And that the or let's call it 3 northernmost and 5 southernmost blueberries, as noted on the plan, be replaced with sweet fern.
I second the motion.
Does everyone understand the motion?
Yes.
Any further questions? So the motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
Great.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience with this project.
Thanks for shepherding it. I need a second to get these notes down, sorry.
Yeah.
All set, thanks.
Okay. Next item is item C. Central Fence and Deck is seeking a conditional use permit for 5,275 square feet of pavement / impervious and 9,645 square feet of grading and drainage / impervious impact for the wetland buffer on a property located at Willen Drive in the Commercial Industrial District. Assessors map 43, lot 1I, CUP 4, 2023. And again, we have Mr. Stoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bob Stoll at TriTech Engineering, representing Central Fence and Deck. I will say, listening to the first case this evening, I really do appreciate how what you guys do and tolerate. As I thought, this is actually the third site that you had tonight that's been has had violations on it. So I guess I appreciate the challenge that you guys deal with, and but regardless, this is out at William Drive. That was I want to say about 4 or 5 years back. We had the owner at that time did a wholesale regrading out there, and
That was the Stephen Brown property.
Exactly, and we did I know we did a site walk at that time, and we did a mild, I'll call it a mild restoration plan. But this is I was at SRTC this morning, and I said this is only an improvement to what's out there now. It's counterintuitive. We are in the wetland buffer, but the state of that buffer now, this is going to be a significant improvement. You can see the existing tree line out here. I did mention in the application that we don't get into needing to cut any trees for this project. It's all disturbed area. It's all again we're all within the tolerances on percentages there. We've got a great drainage system here where we're collecting the water down at the northern end of the site, taking it through a swale down to a forebay and into bioretention area up that's in the excessively well-drained soil up there. As we went to the back of the site, the soil gets a little worse there, so we were able to route it around, get it back into that excessively well-drained soil, get the bioretention process going there. This is in the secondary groundwater protection, so our media is 2 feet thick here as opposed to the standard 1.5 feet thick, and this handles all our storms appropriately and treats things and infiltrates. I think we're up to our 50-year storm before any water comes out. We're infiltrating in a big way out there. So I think it's a very positive. We've got, again, we've limited as much as we can there, but we haven't gone beyond the area that's already been that's a mess out there now. So I think this will be an improvement. Certainly, this is a project for central fence and deck that is going to relocate off of their 108 location. That I think is going to be a positive. Well, this is a site that's going to suit their business better, and it will free up that site for a business that suits that site better. So I think it's a win-win all around, and happy to answer questions.
So this is the site closest to the utility easement, is that correct?
Yes. The last one we were in on was at the corner. This one we go up Willand Drive under the power line. It's on the immediately on the right.
Okay. So we know that there are invasives there, a significant amount of invasives. I just want to point out that can't be moved off of the site without permission from the state.
Right, and I don't think the area that we're working with, I don't think we're out of the gravel that's out there. I don't think we're going to be in. Like I say, this really will be an upgrade to the site. It's all that hard packed gravel that's creating runoff, that's doing its own thing. This will be an upgrade.
No future plans for the site?
No, this is the whole thing. He's got the it's almost a 7,000 square foot building, and then in the back there he's got his outdoor storage for his fencing materials.
A little bit of context on the client. They were at planning board like 6-8 months ago, someplace around there, for a compliance concern around materials being stored basically right up to 108 on their current site. At the time, they made reference to having early plans in the works to get to a larger site due to their expansion needs. They're running too much business right now to handle the site that they're on. So this sounds like it's a significantly larger facility than they currently have. It would let them operate in a controlled manner. And they're a business that's been in Somersworth for a very long time. And I think this one code issue is the only time there's ever been a problem with them. So it's an indication that they're trying to do the right thing.
What kind of things are they going to be storing outside? Is it going to be just product, or is it going to be vehicles, or what?
They have some company vehicles that we've provided parking for, but the outside storage area is for their stock, their fence material, the parts that they use to put it together, et cetera.
Okay. And where would be snow storage? Because obviously they're gonna have to plow, we hope.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that earlier. That didn't even come up at SRTC this morning.
It's in the memo.
It's in the memo, okay. But we've got the basically the perimeter of the area out back, any place that we can get it so that it hits that swale and melts into that and goes to the forebay is going to be good snow storage. But we will get that on the plan for our next submittal for SRTC.
I like the overall plan. Is there a landscape? Am I overlooking the landscaping?
No, the landscape is a work in progress. We thought we had one to bring to SRTC this morning, but it still needed work, so it went back to the landscape architect, but it's coming along soon. It is focused from the building forward, the face of the building towards Willand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you speak to any of it? That's fine.
No, it was pretty sparse. So we just said, particularly with the foundation plantings that we talked about at SRTC this morning, we needed more fluff, and so I really didn't give it a lot of attention. I apologize.
There's a lot of wide open space there, and as you mentioned, it's hard packed
Yep.
soil. So one thing is it's going to get hot there if it's not already. Any trees can only help.
No, definitely. Yeah, no, she had the requisite amount of shade trees. That's the easy part. It's getting something that brings it all together that we wanted to push on.
Just to put an asterisk on any trees, not honey locust.
No, we'll skip on that. Absolutely.
Local side, I think there's a number of businesses in relatively the similar area that have put in hickories with some good results, and if the soil here is amenable, that might be a good candidate. So we do have the list. You know about it.
Yes.
One other thing that I just note that's kind of specific to this client and not something that conservation really has purview over, but I feel like I should mention it since I know it's a thing. Traditionally in the past, they've employed people over the winter to cut down removed stock and burned it on site, just kind of keeping their guys on a bit longer. With the move out to a forested area as opposed to a built up one, they probably want to talk to fire before they do that again.
Yeah, that did come up at SRTC this morning, and they have changed their policy there. They've gone to a dumpster system. With that, they still have the guys do the breakdown, but they've got a dumpster system that they're working with now.
Good to hear ahead of me. Thank you.
The stakes that have been placed out there on the property, is that pertaining to this building, or?
I'm trying to think. Probably the only stakes that are out there are where we dug test pits. So not really relevant to building location.
Like building corners or
No.
anything?
No.
Okay.
Section on the right, do you have any comments?
We got nothing.
Nope. Just the only thing that I picked up on is that we're looking for trees to be included on the landscaping list.
Yep.
Per the tree list and the tree board ordinance.
Absolutely. No, understood.
Anybody have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve additional use permit, granted that, the shade trees are off of the approved tree list. Also that, no invasives are removed from site without, prior state approval.
Okay. Want to have a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve with trees from the tree board list and no invasives removed from the site. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Abstentions? All right, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I appreciate the lighting plan too. That was
Yeah.
good to see. All right, are you ready? 4, new business. Any new business to come before the commission? Item 5, old business. A, easement monitoring. I have nothing to add. Anyone else? B, any correspondence regarding old business? I have some. New Hampshire Fish and Game notified us that 10 more eastern cottontails have been released at Malley Farm to date, and they're planning a release in this fall at the Sunningdale property. Don't have the number for you. Any other correspondence for old business? All right, item C, member items, subcommittee items and reports. 1, wildlife management plan for Lily Pond parcel. I have no update on that. 2, invasives plan subcommittee report.
No update.
No update. 3, Malley Farm Trail subcommittee report.
Yeah, a lot going on. Let's see. So I sent the report around. Sorry, I got it Monday, I think, or Tuesday, edited version. So I had to wait for the final. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. We can talk about it tonight or another night. But I thought it'll be really helpful. I was happy to see them break out kind of the tasks by cost, estimates. And I think within that, list of things to do, there's probably some additional ones as well. But I think it'll allow us to sort of prioritize some things, look at ways that we can maybe do some of it ourselves. Certainly like the hazard tree assessment and things like that I could do. So anyways, I'm pretty happy with that. I have reached out to SELT, the Southeastern Land Trust, a couple weeks ago to try to talk to them. This is something that Scott and I discussed. So the adjacent Scoutland property is partially at least managed by SELT, and I'm not sure of the ins and outs of that yet. But we were wondering if SELT would be in a position to help us more permanently conserve the Malley Farm property. So I did just get an email today, Scott, from our contact there, and I'm gonna have a phone conversation with him on Friday. So,
Okay, great.
so I think like that's kind of the important thing, and right now is to figure that out. So what I'm suggesting we do is sort of shelve the trail work and all of that right now, figure out the SELT interaction, if there's gonna be something there or not. If there's not, work on permanently conserving the site while setting up a plan for trail establishment. Let's see. I worked with Barbara and Jeremy. You may have been surprised with the CC to you, but I think since you're the budget guy, we're getting payment to the company for the report. I think that's it, really. Last time I think I mentioned the tie-in with the Rollinsford Conservation Commission and their trail setup, and they're pretty excited to work with us. So I think, more broadly than just Malley Farms, when we get trails established there, we'll have a really nice connector that, we can publicize somehow as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure that everyone was involved in that conversation or whether it was just you and me.
The Rollinsford.
Yeah, the last conversation about the connector.
Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned it at the last meeting or not, but okay. And then I sent the map. So if you looked at the map that I sent with the report, I think I sent it, you can see how they join. There's a right-of-way that's an old road bed or something that connects the two properties. So, and then that that field is currently corn, but they're not sure how long. And the Rollinsford owns that. Leases it for corn production, and that may be coming to an end. So there's some discussions in Rollinsford about whether that will be a conservation patch, or they might try to make a move for solar in there too. So if it is conserved, I mean, I'm hoping that that CELT is interested, because you've got it really would be a unique parcel combined. It's not a parcel, but a group of parcels, unique to the seacoast, and so if that field also was moved into conservation land, it's a really diverse habitat with Malley Farms and the Scoutland property. So we'll see. I mean, I think it could be a good project to combine it all together, and hopefully CELT will be interested. I think that would make our life maybe a little bit easier in terms of moving it towards conservation land.
But it remains to be seen whether they can help us with the legal determination.
Yeah.
And you're recommending holding off, sitting with this preliminary report, sitting on it for a little while until we get that figured out?
I mean, I guess I'm open to options, but it seemed like from prior discussions, really locking down the status of the property is key before investing. I mean, I wouldn't be against maybe some of the do it ourselves, tasks on there. But at the same time, I thought about, well, if we got some people together to clear trails and all, that would be great. But on the other hand, do we want more people out there? Do we want it more accessible when the trails aren't in good conditions anyways? So, yeah, I think just holding until we get the status figured out is probably the best approach. I think that's everything from me. That covers the next bullet point for you,
Yes.
too.
So if Dwayne can't, or if he says that that's beyond their purview or whatever they do, then I'll get back with ECM land law.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he didn't say much in his email, except he wanted to talk about it, and he wasn't that familiar with the property, so we'll see.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Breyer, are you ready to talk about the tree inventory project? I got your emails, and I'm sorry I didn't reply. I've been working on a lot of stuff.
Dale and I met with Amber Hall and Mike Babinski 2 or 3 weeks ago, just to kind of go over the process, the project, and what might be involved. At that point, we're looking for right-of-way, how to determine what belongs to the city, what doesn't belong to the city. Amber did provide a snapshot of the street plan. I'm not sure what the system is, a GIS or whatever it is. He said, why don't we take a sample area to try to take a look at what's involved. So she gave us, I think it's called the Hilltop section right out here. And on a second email she sent me, she sent all of the right-of-way distances for the roads. So as a starting point, we can actually go up and take some measurements, find out where the actual right-of-way is, see what's in the right-of-way that might belong to the city. It's just kind of a starting point and kind of to get our feet wet on what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Mike was at the meeting and came up with what I thought was a pretty good question. The question was, so why? Why are we doing this? Was this something that the SRPC wanted to be done, or the city wanted to be done, or is it something that is a solution looking for a problem type of situation? So that, after that meeting, I went back and I started talking. I sent a second email to, I think her name is Rebecca Young, Dover, was involved in their process, and I listed some questions for her. She wrote back to me that her answers were kind of vague. It almost appeared she wasn't that deeply involved in the process, but she did CC Kyle Pimentel, who's on the SRPC. I guess he is the principal regional planner for the SRPC. And he actually sent back a ton of information.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. In fact, I started making up a book here. I've got about 70 pages of information from everything from instructions that they made up for Dover for the street inventory, the inventory forms that they used. Apparently they had some kind of a grant when they did theirs, but it involved not only the tree inventory, but a stormwater retrofit procedure. So the pricing that he sent me of what was involved includes both of them. So I've got to sit down and break out what part was the tree inventory, what part was the wastewater retrofit.
So that plan included guiding principles and objectives.
I believe so. I haven't had a chance to go through all this, but I mean, they listed the reasoning for it, pros, how it benefits the city, et cetera, et cetera. Trying to see cost analysis.
Yeah, so strive for compatibility with complete street practices. Provide practices to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Guide equitable tree planting across the city. Serve a resource, probably serve as a resource to inform day-to-day decisions of staff. Improve integrated, efficient, and effective management of street trees and infrastructure. Prioritize retention of existing trees when possible, but recognize the need to remove trees that are no longer appropriate for a site. Adhere to goals, objectives, and findings documented in the city's master plan. Excuse me. Implement Dover's vision for 2023, which includes enhanced environmental quality and sustainability are actively pursued and inherent in all cities' activities. So I think we had mentioned some of those goals ourselves at the last meeting.
Yeah, I don't think the question is why you would do this. It's why you wouldn't do this. These things are really useful. I work with insects, obviously, but, my mind goes there. But, we've used these in other cities to figure out where the ash trees are, where the red maple are, Right now, nobody in the city knows the condition or the health of the street, of the trees that the city owns, and are they, is the crown falling apart? Is there a concern that something's going to break? And that's all part of the assessment of the trees. So I'm a fan of them because I've used them, but I also just think it makes sense to know what your inventory is, and then especially to move towards what Scott mentioned and some of those points is that to building that resilient, urban forest, so that can handle an invasive species, it can handle climate change, anything like that. And so it gives us the ability to look at that and see how, do we have an urban forest that is 80% maple, for example? We don't want that, we want to diversify. So So I think it's something, I'm glad that we're moving on it, or at least considering it, and it would be very useful.
There are other foreseeable use cases, like all the streets that are named Elm Street that no longer have elms on them. If we have some sort of infestation like that and we don't know where all of the affected trees are, then we still have pockets that may be harboring pests. Just another possible use case.
Yeah, and I looked at some of this stuff when I started on the council, and, you know, there was variation among what data you would capture, but, you know, the sheet that I looked at, I mean, you were assessing, are the roots impinged, is the crown in poor condition, are there broken limbs, is the crown dying, you know, and so it, you know, we could take those data and really break out, you know, what trees are a concern, what should be evaluated, you know, more frequently, what should be replaced. And then it also allows you to guide, or I mean, it can guide you into planting, and that's very helpful, so.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Mike brought up, or, I mean, we thought of it before, was once this gets up and running, and if we have the data, one, who's gonna maintain it? Is it gonna be used by DPW? You know, is somebody gonna identify, like, if a tree needs to be replaced or trimmed or whatever, is it gonna go to DPW? I guess that's one of his concerns, is,
Yeah, it's undefined, but that doesn't negate the need for it and
No,
for someone to take that up. It does need to be budgeted, and I'm putting that into the plan that I'm going to be presenting. Frankly, there's a lot that's unbudgeted right now that needs to be budgeted and fast, because we're getting way behind in biodiversity issues and climate change preparation. But thanks for the report and all the legwork. It's good stuff. Now,
I did find out also from my wife, who does the minutes for Durham, that Durham has all of a sudden now starting with a tree inventory.
okay.
But she says they're starting from ground zero.
Mhm.
So,
So what's your next step?
I guess my next step is basically going to be going out and trying to actually do a survey, you know, see what's involved, how long it takes, you know.
By yourself or with Amber or?
Myself, or if anybody else wants to be part of it, or,
Will I'm not exactly sure how it's organized, but do you have access to their data sheet? So they would have a digital, it would be in Survey 1, 2, 3 probably as the software. But if you could ask about that, and I don't know that they'll give you access or not.
When you
but-
say they, are you talking about SRPC?
Well, yeah, the first group that Doug spoke to that would contract some of this, or it could be done through volunteers. If we could get that, then I can go out with you. I can load that on my tablet, and we could go out and run through the exact sequence.
I think you can almost guarantee that Kyle has it. Kyle Pimentel.
I have it right here, Dover Street Business District street tree inventory form. And it's
Oh, so if you have a hard copy, that's
it's a hard
perfect too.
copy.
Well, I'd be happy to go out with you. We can talk after this or through email. I'm gonna be away for a little bit, but I'll be back in mid-October, well, late October.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I would like to sit, if I can, with either Kyle or Rebecca and find out, as I said, who is maintaining the base in there. Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, never mind.
Rebecca.
Young.
Oh, okay.
In Dover.
They may just hand over the data after it's completed, so then it would have to be housed by
Right.
Somersworth.
Guess one of the things I wanted to check with her is, once we have the data, we have the database set. how often do they go out and take a second look? They do it every 2 years, a year, to update. Who does that?
Yeah, and if if you lose a tree, or the city has to remove a tree, is there a way to, at that point, put in what came down and what's going in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
by talking with, God, I can't remember the names now, Jackson Rand, I think it is, at SRPC, he was saying that once the database is turned over, whoever is going to maintain it should be able to add and delete data from that. They can do it for us, but it would be at a cost.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, any other old business?
I have something to share.
Yes.
I did mention on the line of trees. Last month I had mentioned that Code Compliance Officer Shane Conlon had been working with DPW to replace some of the identified dying trees. He is meeting with AJ Dupree tomorrow. They're scheduled to have a meeting tomorrow on site to continue those discussions of potential tree plantings. So that was just a follow up on that. And then
I think you just turned yourself off.
sure did. Non-Conservation Commission related, but very important always to everyone. Tomorrow, Thursday, the 14th, from 5 to 8:30, we are having a housing forum at the Black Box Theater at the high school, 18 Cemetery Road. We encourage everyone on the commission or anyone you know within the community to attend and have housing discussions with us and the community, figure out where Somersworth, what housing needs, where we want them, what kinds of housing, and or where we don't want the housing, things like that. Discussion. So we hope we can see you there, or tell your friends,
Thank you.
or both. Doug, if you can share the news in Sunningdale.
Is there a treasurer's report?
There is. Our balance forward was $255,635.56. We had interest received in the amount of $900.42. No disbursements, with an ending balance of $256,535.98.
Thank you. Any last minute items? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 7:39.